Hi, welcome to the Durian Heat, where we discuss critical issues from Southeast Asia. My name is Grace Cho. Grab is one of the big startup business and also success story of Southeast Asia. It was founded in Malaysia by Anthony Tan in year 2012. The taxi app is now available in more than 21 cities across the region and has raised a total of 340 million US dollars in funding. So this popular taxi app lets users find available taxis in selected areas, connect with a driver, and get fare estimation ahead of time. Of course, in contrast to booking apps, which are specific to a single taxi operator, Grab works with all of them. It takes a lower cut per booking from the driver than taxi operators. Alin and I will be speaking with Jaygan, who is a country manager of Grab at the Durian Heat.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
So Jaygan, give us a brief background of yourself and also company to our listeners.
Okay, so hi, I'm Jaygan Fu. I'm the country manager of Grab Malaysia. So prior to Grab, which was previously known as MyTaxi, I worked in two companies. I was in IDC and then for 2 years, and then moved to Accenture for Accenture for 4 years. So in Accenture, I was predominantly doing analytics work, understanding customer through data. And the opportunity with Grab came in when one of the founding members, Adeline Fu, she sold me the operations role in Grab, previously known as MyTaxi, as the operations head. So when I joined Grab sometime in late 2013. So initially I was looking at how do I improve driver signups, and on top of that, how can I improve the customer service. So 6 months down the road, I got promoted to be the deputy general manager, and 6 months later I was the country manager, and I'm the country manager ever since.
Yeah. But why Grab has become such a favorite among Malaysians back then?
We basically solve a problem with technology. So I categorize the problem into two parts. So part one would be from the passenger's point of view. Every time they hail a cab, they get overcharged by the cab, right? The cab don't want to go from point A to point B. They have their normal routes and etc. And then everyone will blame the cab drivers. But when you think about it, right? When you go and talk to the cab drivers themselves, then you tend to understand how they exhibit behaviors as such. So number one, right? You see, I always tell this to everyone, like when they wake up in the morning, right, they are already negative 70 ringgit down. Why? Because they rent the taxis. When they rent it's a daily rental, so they pay up to 70 ringgit a day. So when you wake up in the morning, right, you're 70 ringgit down already. As for people like us, we wake up, 5 minutes late to work, we still get paid. But for them, they wake up in the morning, oh my god, I'm 70 ringgit down. So how do I cover my operations costs and also make money from it? So the fastest way of doing it is, of course, to overcharge customers. Why? Because there's a mismatch of supply and demand. So the taxi drivers don't know where the demand is, and passengers don't know where the taxi is. So taxi drivers will roam around aimlessly,
which is a waste of their petrol,
with gas and time. So with Grab, with MyTaxi, and with Grab, previously known as MyTaxi, we basically match the supply and demand. So the app enables the passenger to book, and the nearest taxi driver will end up picking up the passenger.
But how, you mentioned that when they wake up, taxi drivers, they already like 70 ringgit down. But with Grab, how do they make more money? Or how they can get a constant, salary for their taxi driving?
Okay, so if I were to put myself in the taxi driver's shoes, so when I wake up, let's say I stay somewhere in Wangsa Maju So when I wake up in the morning, I'll do my morning prayers, for example. After I do my morning prayers while having breakfast, I will just on my driver app. When I on my driver app, then a job will come in. So let's say Wangsa Maju to KLCC at 7 a.m. So he will then go to the passenger's house, pick the passenger up, drop in KLCC. Then from KLCC, there's another passenger who wants to go for a meeting. KLCC to Bangsa. And then Bangsa to Sunway. Then Sunway, he picks up a student to, let's say, Mont Kiara. And then it's just non-stop. Because of technology, we can manage the mismatch of supply and demand. And on top of that, we also, I came from a very strong data background. So we do a lot of analytics where we study previous trends. Like, for example, you tend to see high demand in residential areas in the morning. Then we tell the drivers, hey drivers, please move to all these residential areas. Then in the evening, lunchtime, you go to office areas, because especially Fridays, because they got a 2-hour lunch break, they tend to want to go eat something nicer, right, instead of the canteen. And then after work hours, we tend to tell drivers, please congregate in these areas so that they don't need to travel, the customers will be in front of them.
So everything becomes more efficient.
Exactly. So with efficiency, you reduce costs, and you earn more by working lesser hours.
So the drivers, before they adapt to this tech, right, most of them, I believe, they were not tech savvy. Then how did you educate them from the first place?
That's a very good question, because I went through that process. So, I mean, to be very honest with you, taxi drivers, all of us, right? No one wants to be a taxi driver. You ask a kid in school, who wants to be a taxi driver?
Right.
Then they would say, then no one has the ambition to be a taxi driver. So, taxi drivers, how they end up taxi driver, because of some, there are certain motivations to be taxi driver. Maybe they failed in a previous business, or they want more flexibility, or they just do it to pass time. So these are the three main key. And taxi drivers are skeptics because of whatever they've experienced in the past. Maybe they got cheated by their friend, for example. It takes a lot of you need to be persistent.
All right.
Okay. So my definition of persistent would be this. When I first started my job, I was tasked to sell My Taxi to the My Taxi app then to taxi drivers, and they are like, why do I need you? How much is a mobile phone? Last time an Android phone, I think, is about $400-500.
Correct.
So it's expensive. It's so expensive lah, this lah, that. So many excuses lah. But we need to be smart, because you train the ones that are so-called more open to. So how do I, if I were to break down the problem, I'll start off with drivers who has smartphones then. So I will go to them, hey, do you have a smartphone? Yes. Okay, you know what? The app is free. Why don't you try it out? And then when you try it out, and then I activate it on the spot, then when they start seeing orders coming in non-stop, right? Then they're like, oh my god, there's so many jobs. So you use this tech savvy guy to sell it to their friends. So because I believe taxi drivers, they tend to be very, very, they got this herd mentality. So my friend has it, then I want to use it as well.
That's really interesting concept. And then because of that, downloading this specific Grab app has been increasing drastically since it was established. So the concept of helping each other and solving the real problem has become very popular among Malaysians. And a lot of people, even if they have cars, they still go for apps just to call taxi services, because firstly, they don't need to worry about parking anymore. And then second, yes, Grab has this advantage of having fixed price. No matter where you are, to your destination is a fixed price. So there's no cheating and no worrying about the price or surge charge anymore. So with that, we'll continue our conversation after this short break.
Okay.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.